There is something that happens in the middle of a hard season, something nobody really warns you about. It's that moment when you've done everything right, you've prayed, you've trusted, you've pushed forward with everything you have inside you, and things still feel like they're falling apart. That moment when you look around and think, is this really supposed to be happening to me? Is this really where I am? And the silence is so loud, and the weight is so real, and you are still standing there, wondering when it's going to change. I want to talk to you today about that place. Not the place where you've arrived at your breakthrough. Not the place where everything has been restored and the story makes sense. I want to talk to you about the middle, the process, the part that doesn't feel like anything God could be orchestrating, but the part that He is most present in. Because here is what I've come to understand. The hardest seasons of your life are not a sign that God has forgotten you. They are not evidence that you did something wrong. They are not proof that the dream is over, that the door is closed, that the chapter has ended before it was supposed to. Hard things are part of the process, and the process is part of the plan. Take a moment right now and just breathe that in. Because I know there is someone listening to this today who needed to hear those words more than anything else. The hard thing you are walking through, it is not the end. It is part of something God is building in you, something He is building through you, something that will one day make the most perfect sense, even though right now it makes none at all. Think about what it takes to build something that lasts. Think about what it takes to build a house that can withstand a storm. You don't pour a foundation and immediately walk through the front door. There is excavation first. There is digging down before anything can be built up. And the deeper you need the foundation to go, the more dirt that has to be moved, the more ground that has to be broken. And to the naked eye, it just looks like a hole in the ground. It looks like destruction. It looks like nothing is happening. But underneath the surface, something essential is being established. That is what God is doing in you right now, if you are in a hard season. He is not leaving you in a hole. He is laying a foundation. He is doing the deep work that cannot be seen with the human eye, but will absolutely be seen when the structure is finally standing. And when that building is finished, when what He promised you is finally standing in its fullness, people will look at it and marvel. But only you will know what it took. Only you will know how deep the foundation had to go, because only you lived through the excavation. And I want you to hold on to that image today. Because the process is not pretty. The process is not comfortable. The process will challenge your faith in ways you did not anticipate. It will ask you to trust Him when you cannot see what He is doing. It will ask you to stand still when everything in you wants to run. It will ask you to praise Him in a season that does not feel like a praise season at all. And that is exactly where growth lives. If you are listening to this and you feel like you are in the hardest stretch of your life right now, I want you to know something. God sees you, not just in the vague, distant way we sometimes imagine. He sees you specifically. He knows the weight you are carrying. He knows which conversation keeps replaying in your mind at 2 a.m. He knows which hope you are afraid to hold on to because you've been disappointed before. He knows exactly what it feels like to be you today. And He has not turned away from any of it. So let me ask you something. What if the thing you've been calling a setback is actually a setup? What if the door that closed because the hallway leads somewhere better than the room you were trying to get into? What if the relationship that fell apart made room for the connection that is going to define the rest of your life? What if the loss was actually a redirection? What if the delay is actually divine timing working in your favor, even when it feels like nothing but frustration. I'm not saying these things to minimize your pain. I'm not standing here acting like it doesn't hurt, because it does hurt. And God does not ask you to pretend it doesn't. He doesn't require you to manufacture joy you don't feel or smile through grief that is absolutely legitimate. What He does ask is that in the middle of the hurt, you do not lose your trust in who He is, that even when you can't trace His hand, you hold on to His character, that even when the situation makes no sense, you choose to believe that He does. And that is not easy. Let me be honest with you about that. Choosing faith in the middle of a hard season is one of the most difficult things a human being can do. Because faith is not a feeling. Faith is a decision. And some days you will not feel like making that decision at all. Some days you will wake up exhausted, and the first thought in your mind will be how much you are struggling. Some days the doubt will come before the praise. Some days the tears will come before the trust. And you know what? That is okay. You are human. You were designed to feel. And God is not surprised by your struggle. He is not sitting in heaven disappointed that you are having a hard day. He is not counting your moments of weakness against you. He is walking with you through every single one of them. Every fear, every doubt, every question, every moment when you felt like you didn't have enough faith to keep going. He is right there. He has always been right there. I want you to do something for me right now. I want you to think about the hardest thing you have walked through in your past. The thing that, in the middle of it, felt absolutely unsurvivable. Think about the season that tested you more than any other. Think about the moment you thought you would not make it through. And then think about where you are now. You are here. You made it through that. And if God brought you through that, if He carried you through something that felt like it would break you, what makes you think He will stop now? He doesn't start something and abandon it halfway. That is not who He is. He does not invest in a person and then walk away when things get complicated. He does not begin a work in you and decide you're not worth finishing. Every hard thing you have survived is evidence of His faithfulness. Every impossibility that became possible in your life is proof that He does not operate by the same rules of limitation that we do. He is not subject to your timeline or your understanding. He operates from a perspective that is so much higher, so much wider, so much deeper than anything our minds can reach. And that perspective, that higher view, is seeing something in your current season that you cannot see from where you are standing. He sees the end from the beginning. He sees the breakthrough that is coming. He sees the version of you that is going to walk out of this season stronger, softer, wiser, and more anchored than you have ever been. He is not confused by what is happening in your life right now. He is working it. He is weaving it. He is using every single thread, even the ones that look like mistakes, even the ones that look like failures, even the ones that feel like wounds. He is using all of it, because nothing is wasted in the hands of God. I want you to write that somewhere. Nothing is wasted. The years you spent in the wrong job, not wasted. The relationship that cost you so much, not wasted. The plan that fell through, the door that closed, the dream that seemed to die, not wasted. God is a redeemer. And redemption means He takes what was meant to harm you and He turns it into something that produces life. That is His specialty. That is what He does best. And He is doing it right now, even if you cannot see it yet. There is a process that happens inside of pressure, something that can only be produced under weight. Think about what happens to coal when it is placed under extreme pressure over time. It doesn't stay coal. It becomes diamond. It becomes one of the hardest, most precious, most brilliant substances on earth. But it requires the pressure. It requires the darkness. It requires the time. And you cannot rush it. You cannot shortcut it. You cannot get the diamond without the process. And God is not trying to make you comfortable. He is trying to make you powerful. He is not trying to give you a soft life. He is trying to give you an unshakable life. And unshakable does not come from never being shaken. It comes from being shaken and discovering that you did not fall. It comes from being in the fire and walking out without smelling like smoke. It comes from going through something that should have ended you, and instead watching God use it to begin something in you that nothing else could have started. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to just take a breath. Just pause for a moment. And in this space, I want you to give yourself permission to release some of what you've been carrying. You've been holding it so tightly. You've been trying to manage it, figure it out, control the outcome, force the timeline. And there is a part of you that is so tired from carrying all of that. Let it down for a moment. Not because you're giving up, but because you're giving it over. There is a difference. Giving up is saying it's over. Giving it over is saying, God, I trust you with this more than I trust myself. And that release, that is where God does some of his best work. When you stop white-knuckling your life and you open your hands and say, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I know you do. That is when the shift begins. Not always immediately, not always dramatically. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's subtle. But something changes in the spiritual atmosphere when you choose surrender over control. When you choose trust over fear. When you choose to believe in who he is even when everything around you is telling you to doubt. I think about seasons in my own life when the hard things were so hard that I genuinely could not see the purpose. I could not see the pattern. I could not connect the dots. And looking back, I can see it so clearly now. I can see how that hard thing was protecting me from something worse. I can see how that closed door was keeping me from a room that would have taken years off my life. I can see how that delay was actually God saying, not yet. Because what I have for you requires a version of you that doesn't exist yet. And the weight, the hard, uncomfortable, faith-stretching weight, was making that version of me. And the same is true for you. Whatever you are walking through today, God is making a version of you. A version that is being shaped in ways that cannot happen in the easy seasons. Character is not built in comfort. Depth is not formed in the shallow end. The things that make you who you are at the core, the things that will carry you through the next hard season and the season after that, those things are being forged right now. In this. In what you thought was just pain. In what you thought was just loss. In what you thought was just confusion. It is never just anything in the hands of God. It is always more than it appears. It is always doing more than one thing at a time. It is always preparing you for something that you haven't met yet. Something that is going to require exactly who you are becoming. If you feel like you are in a season of waiting right now, I want to speak to that specifically. Because waiting is its own kind of hard. Waiting is not passive. Waiting is active. Waiting requires you to hold on when letting go would be easier. Waiting requires you to maintain your hope when hope has started to feel foolish. Waiting requires you to keep showing up, keep praying, keep positioning yourself, keep being who God is calling you to be, even when you cannot see any evidence that anything is changing. And I know that is exhausting. I know that kind of waiting can wear on you in ways that other struggles don't. Because at least with a visible battle, you can see what you're fighting. But waiting in the invisible, trusting in what you cannot see, holding on to what hasn't manifested yet, believing in what feels like it may never come. That requires a different kind of strength. A strength that can only come from one place. God is your source of strength in this season. Not your own willpower. Not your optimism. Not the encouragement of the people around you, as valuable as that is. He is your source. And he does not run out. He does not get depleted. He does not reach a point where he's given you all he has. His capacity to sustain you in this season is infinite. His ability to carry what you cannot is unlimited. And when you feel like you have nothing left, that is not the end of your story. That is the moment you lean into him the hardest. That is the moment you find out what he can do with your nothing. There is something powerful that happens when you are completely dependent on God. Not partially dependent. Not dependent with one hand while you hold on to control with the other. I mean fully, completely, radically dependent. When you have exhausted every human option. When your own wisdom has run out. When your plan has failed, and your backup plan has failed, and you are standing in the middle of your life with wide open hands saying, I cannot do this without you. That is when God shows up in ways that your own effort could never manufacture. He loves to show himself strong on behalf of people who are trusting him. He loves to do the thing that nobody thought was possible. He loves to walk into the situation that looked sealed shut and open it wide. He loves to be the God who makes a way where there is absolutely no way. And that is not just something that happened in history. That is not just something that happened for other people. That is available to you, right now, in your situation, in your season, in your life. But you have to let him. You have to get out of his way. And I don't mean that dismissively. I mean it literally. Sometimes we pray for God to move and then we spend all of our energy trying to manufacture the answer ourselves. We ask for his guidance, and then we run ahead of it. We ask for his peace, and then we stay in every anxious conversation that steals it. We ask for breakthrough, and then we refuse to release the thing that is blocking it. Letting God work sometimes means getting really honest about what you are holding on to that he has been asking you to let go of. What is it for you? Is it the need to control the outcome? Is it the fear of what people will think? Is it the bitterness you've been carrying that feels justified because it is justified, but it is also blocking you? Is it the self-protection that has turned into self-limitation? Is it the version of the plan that you drew up yourself and you are still gripping, even though God has been trying to show you a better one? Whatever it is, I am asking you today to consider releasing it. Not because it doesn't matter, but because he is trustworthy with the things that matter most to you. And here is what releasing doesn't look like. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you pretend it doesn't hurt or stop pursuing what God has placed on your heart. It means you hold it differently. With open hands instead of clenched fists. With faith instead of anxiety. With the deep settled knowing that the God who placed that desire in you is not going to let it die in vain. He placed it there on purpose, and he is working it out, in his way, in his time, with a precision and a wisdom that surpasses anything you could architect on your own. I want to take a moment to talk about the lies that come in hard seasons, because they will come. And if you don't recognize them, they will take root. The first lie is that God is punishing you, that whatever is happening is some kind of cosmic consequence for a version of yourself that you've already left behind. That is not true. God is not a punisher. He is a refiner. There is a difference. Punishment is retributive. Refinement is purposeful. And what he is doing in you right now is not retaliation. It is renovation. The second lie is that this is permanent. That whatever is happening right now is the final state of things. That the struggle you are in is the story you will live in forever. That is not true. Seasons change. That is their nature. They are not permanent. What you are walking through right now has an end. It has a turning point. It has a morning on the other side of this night. And even when you cannot see it, that does not mean it isn't coming. The third lie is that you are alone, that nobody understands what you're going through, that even God seems distant in this season. I want to speak directly to that one because I know that feeling is real. The feeling of spiritual silence, the feeling of unanswered prayers, the feeling of going through something so specific, so personal, that it feels impossible for anyone else to truly understand. And yet, you are not alone. God has not moved. He has not gone silent because he has gone away. Sometimes he is quiet because he is asking you to trust without confirmation, because faith that only works when you can hear the voice and see the sign is not really faith at all. The fourth lie is that you missed it, that you made a wrong turn somewhere and now God can't fully use you, that the mistakes you've made have disqualified you from what he originally had in mind for your life. That is not true. God is not limited by your detours. He is not caught off guard by your mistakes. He knew your entire story before you lived a single day of it, and he chose you anyway. He called you anyway. He placed purpose in you anyway. Nothing you have done or failed to do has the power to cancel what he decided about you before the foundation of the world. You are not too far gone. You are not too broken. You are not too complicated, too messy, too inconsistent, too much of a work in progress. You are exactly who he intended to love, to refine, and to use. And the hard season you are in right now is not evidence of your failure. It is evidence of his investment. He does not invest in things he has given up on. So what do you do while you're in the process? How do you practically move through a hard season without losing yourself in it? I want to walk through a few things with you, not as a formula, but as a guide. The first thing is to guard your mind. What you allow to occupy your thoughts in a hard season will either anchor you or sink you. Fear will take every open door in your mind and walk right through it. Anxiety will fill every silence with worst-case scenarios. And the battle for your peace is won or lost in the battlefield of your thoughts. You have to be intentional about what you meditate on. Not in a way that is pretending or toxic positivity, but in a way that keeps God's truth louder than the enemy's lies. Speak what you believe. Speak what you're trusting. Even when it doesn't feel true yet, especially when it doesn't feel true yet. The second thing is to stay connected. Hard seasons have a way of making you want to isolate. You feel embarrassed by what you're going through. You feel like a burden to the people who love you. You feel like you have nothing to offer, so why show up? But isolation in a hard season is one of the most dangerous things you can do to yourself. You were not designed to carry hard things alone. You were designed for community, for people who will sit with you in it, pray with you through it, and remind you of who you are when you've temporarily forgotten. Don't disappear. Stay connected. The third thing is to keep showing up for what God has asked of you. Not performance, not pretending, but faithful stewardship of what he has placed in your hands. Sometimes in hard seasons we want to wait until it's over to be who God is calling us to be. We want to wait until we feel better, until things make sense, until the breakthrough comes, and then we'll be available. But faithfulness in the hard season is what positions you for the breakthrough. Obedience in the middle is what accelerates the process. Keep showing up. Keep being who he is building you to be. Even now. Especially now. The fourth thing is to praise before you see the evidence. This one is hard. This one is countercultural. Everything in us wants to praise after the prayer is answered, after the door opens, after the test is over. But there is a power in praising during. There is something that shifts in the atmosphere when you choose gratitude in the middle of the storm. When you choose to acknowledge who God is before you can see what He's doing. When you lift your hands in the middle of the hard thing and say, I still believe in you, I still trust you. I still know that you are good and that you are working, even though I cannot see it yet. That kind of praise is not performance. It is warfare. It is one of the most powerful tools you have in a hard season, and it changes something. Not just in the spiritual atmosphere around you, but inside of you. It recalibrates your perspective. It shifts your focus from the size of the problem to the size of your God. And when your God is bigger than your problem in your mind, you can move differently. You can breathe differently. You can face the next hour with something that looks like courage, even when the fear is still there. I want to close by speaking to the part of you that is most tired. The part that has been holding on for a long time. The part that prayed the same prayer so many times that you've started wondering if it's even reaching anywhere. The part that looked at your life and compared it to what you thought it would be by now and felt the quiet ache of the gap between the two. I want to speak directly to that part of you. You have not been forgotten. You have not been overlooked. You have not been passed over. The silence you have been in is not a sign that God has moved on. It is a sign that something is being prepared. Good things take time. Real things take time. The kind of life and love and purpose that lasts does not arrive instantly. It is built. It is cultivated. It is grown through seasons that sometimes feel like they are only taking from you, but are actually depositing something in you that nothing else could. And I want you to hear this deeply. The waiting has not been wasted. The tears you cried in the middle of the night, they were seen. The prayers you prayed that felt like they went unanswered, they were heard. The moments when you chose to keep going even though giving up would have been easier, they mattered. God keeps every account. Nothing you have invested in trusting Him has been in vain. It is all working towards something. It is all moving you forward, even when it felt like standing still. So I am asking you today to hold on a little longer, not blindly, not without questions, not without the honest conversations with God about how hard this has been. You can ask Him why. You can tell Him you're tired. You can be completely honest with Him about your struggle and your fear and your doubt. And He will not condemn you for any of it. He knows, He sees, and He is with you in it. But after the honest conversation, choose to trust again. After the tears, choose to believe again. After the doubt, choose faith again. Not because you feel it, not because the circumstances have changed, but because He is who He says He is. And He has never once let a person who trusted Him end in shame. He has never once started a story in a person and walked away before the resolution. He completes what He begins, and He began something in you. The hard thing you are in right now is not your story. It is a chapter of your story. And chapters end. They give way to the next part. They turn. And what God is turning in your life right now, what He is preparing to do on the other side of this season, is worth holding on for. You will look back one day, and you will see it so clearly. You will trace His hand through every moment of this. You will understand the purpose of the pressure. You will give testimony about the very thing that is breaking you right now, and it will set someone else free. Your hard thing is not wasted. Your process is not pointless. Your pain is not without purpose. God is in it. God is working it. And God is bringing you through it to a place that is richer and deeper and more rooted than anything you could have reached without it. Hold on. Stay the course. Trust the process. And trust the God who designed it. Because He designed it with you in mind. He designed it with your wholeness in mind. He designed it with the person you are becoming in mind. And that person, the one being formed right now in the middle of the hard thing, is exactly who He knew you would be, exactly who He always intended, and exactly who the next chapter of your story needs you to be. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are in process. And that is one of the most sacred places you can be. Take a breath right now and receive that. Let it land somewhere deep, because it is true. And you needed to hear it today. God sees you. God is with you. And what He started in you, He will finish. Rest in that today. And when tomorrow comes with its questions and its weight, come back to this. Come back to the truth that the hard thing is part of the process. Come back to the knowing that the process is part of the plan. Come back to faith. Come back to trust. Come back to the God who has never once failed you and is not about to start now. He's got you. He always has, and He always will. And if there is someone in your life right now who is also walking through something hard, I want to encourage you to be that person for them. Be the one who doesn't have all the answers but shows up anyway. Be the one who sits in the discomfort with them instead of rushing to fix it. Be the one who says, I don't know why this is happening, but I know God is faithful, and I am not going anywhere. Because sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer another person in a hard season is our presence, not our advice, not our theology, not our timeline for when they should feel better. Just our presence, our steady, consistent, I see you presence, because that is exactly what God offers us. And we get to be the hands and feet of that for someone else. Hard seasons have a way of showing you who you really are. And I mean that in the best possible way. Because it is easy to know your values in the easy seasons. It is easy to be generous when you have plenty. It is easy to be patient when nothing is pressing you. It is easy to be kind when nothing is testing your character. But in the hard season, in the season where everything is being pressed and pulled and stretched, what comes out of you is what was actually inside of you. And sometimes that is a revelation. Sometimes you discover a resilience in yourself that you didn't know was there. Sometimes you discover a depth of compassion that only develops through personal suffering. Sometimes you discover a capacity for faith that you didn't know you possessed, because you'd never needed it this much before. The hard season reveals you, and what it reveals is something God has been building in you all along. The person who emerges from a hard season with their faith intact is not the same person who went in. They are more. They are deeper. They are less afraid of hard things, because they have evidence now that hard things do not have the final word. They have personal testimony that God shows up. They have walked through something that should have taken them out, and they are still standing. And that standing, that is the testimony. That is the evidence. That is the thing that will reach another person in their hardest moment and give them permission to believe that they can make it through too. So do not despise the process. Do not wish away the season without first receiving everything it has to offer you. Ask God what He is building. Ask Him what He is removing. Ask Him what He wants you to see from this vantage point that you could not have seen from the comfortable one. Let the process do its full work. Because half-processed is not the same as fully formed. And God is not interested in a partial version of the person He created you to be. He is after the whole thing, the fully realized, fully formed, fully surrendered version of you. And that version is worth every hard day it takes to get there.